Every January, the world seems to collectively agree that we're supposed to reinvent ourselves. New habits, new routines, new mindset, a completely new me. And somehow we act surprised when that turns into guilt by week 2. But here's something I need to tell you about January 2021. So 2020 humbled me. I gained weight during lockdown, weight I'm still carrying years later. And every year since 2021, I've made the same resolution: lose weight, get fit, look sexy, which usually involves telling myself to hit the gym 6 times a week or cutting out all processed sugar. By January 8th, I'd already broken all of them, and it just sets the tone for the rest of the year of me feeling like a failure. And maybe you know this feeling too, that heavy sinking guilt when you realize you've already failed, that quiet spiral of why can't I ever stick to anything, or that voice saying, here we go again, another year of being the person who can't follow through. But research backs this up. Around 25% of people abandon their resolution within the first week. But you don't need research to tell you this. You've probably lived it. So this year I'm stepping out of that cycle. I'm not setting a New Year's resolution, and genuinely it might be one of the healthiest decisions I've made in a long time. Not because I've given up on growth, but because I'm done growing from a place of guilt. Let me explain why, and more importantly, help you decide if this way of thinking might work for you too. So here's what I started noticing about the way I, and maybe you, approach resolutions. Almost every resolution was built on the idea that there was something fundamentally wrong with me, that I needed fixing, that the current version of me wasn't good enough. So I needed to create some future version who had everything put together. So think about your own resolutions for a second. How many of them start with, I have to go to the gym, I have to eat better, I have to wake up earlier? Notice the language, I have to. There's this obligation, this pressure, where you're basically telling yourself you're not okay as you are. And here's what I realize: you can't build lasting change on a foundation of shame. When your starting point is, I'm broken, every slip up becomes proof that you were right all along. So ask yourself this honestly: are your resolutions coming from a place of self-improvement or self-criticism? Because you can't hate yourself into a version of yourself you'll love, because that difference matters more than you realize. Resolutions are by design absolute. I'll go to the gym every day, I'll stop eating sugar, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. There's no softness, no flexibility, no allowance for the fact that you're a human being living a real life. And the moment you slip and you miss one day, you already know what happens. For me, it was always, I've already failed, so what's the point? One missed workout became a week. One bad morning became abandoning the whole routine. So it's not the little slip that ruins the goal, it's the shame that follows it. That all or nothing thinking that says if you can't do it perfectly, you shouldn't do it at all. So how many times have you abandoned something good just because you couldn't do it perfectly? That isn't weakness, that's perfectionism, and resolutions are built to feed them. Another thing I noticed, a lot of my resolutions weren't even mine. I chose goals that sounded impressive, or things that made me look disciplined. When somebody asked, what's your New Year resolution? I'd say, I'm going to start running, join a run club. Sounds productive, right? Except I hate running. My knees hurt, I feel unfit, and the thought of running in front of people gives me anxiety. Or I'll say I'm going to read 50 books this year, but why 50? Who decided that was meaningful? Think about your own resolutions for a second. How many are things you genuinely want, and how many are things you think you should want? Things that would look good to other people or sound impressive in conversation. When you're chasing someone else's version of success, you're always forcing yourself, and forcing yourself is exhausting. The real question isn't what should I change? It's what do I want my life to feel like? Let me tell you about something that happened 2 weeks ago. My brother mentioned he'd started going to the gym and boxing, And then when I asked when he'd start, I was fully expecting him to say January, like everyone else says when we're so close to the new year. But he said, oh, I started last Tuesday. And I was thinking a random Tuesday 2 weeks ago, he just started. But then something clicked. I'd been treating the 1st of January like it was the only day I was allowed to improve my life. Like the calendar needed to give me permission. The weeks leading up to January, I was using it as an excuse, ordering takeout on repeat and telling myself it didn't count yet. Treat yourself. So all through December, I tell myself it's fine. I'll lock in later. I'll start in January. The resolution became an excuse for me to postpone actually making changes. And here's what really hit me. I'd spent years waiting for the perfect time to become the person I've always wanted to be. January 1st, next Monday, next month. 5 years of January where I promised myself this would be the year. 5 years of February where I quietly gave up. 5 years of Decembers where I told myself next year will be different. And if you do the maths, that's 60 months or 1,825 days. My brother didn't wait for permission. He just decided on a Tuesday he was going to restart his fitness journey, and he did. There was no announcement, no pressure, no failure if you missed a day. So what are you putting off till January that you could start today? Because if something's worth doing in January, it's worth doing now. So if I'm not making resolutions, what am I doing? I'm focusing on continuous small adjustments. Instead of sweeping life overhauls, I'm making small meaningful changes. For instance, reducing screen time before bed, or with movement. I used to tell myself I needed to do an hour-long gym session or it didn't count. Now, some days it's just short, hot girl walks to the corner shop, or doing 10 minutes of stretching during a YouTube video. It's not impressive, but it's consistent. And consistency without shame beats perfectionism every time. So, August last year, I realised I hadn't read the 50 books I claimed I was going to read, and that genuinely made me sad. But my sister got me the new Hunger Games book, and it's one of my favourite book series, so it was very easy for me to pick up reading again. So instead, I just started reading for 10 minutes before bed. Some nights 5 minutes, sometimes an hour, and then some nights not at all. But here's what I realised: the pressure was killing the joy. Once I removed the tracking, the competition, the expectations, and got a book I genuinely enjoyed, reading became easy again. So what's something you genuinely want to do, but you've made it so rigid that you've stopped doing it altogether? Like, what would happen if you made it easier? Here's the shift that changed everything for me. I stopped asking, what do I have to change? And started asking, how do I want to feel? When you focus on outcomes, lose weight, read more, be more productive, you're constantly succeeding or failing. But when you focus on how you want to feel, more energized, more connected, more calm, you can move towards that every single day. That little shift changes everything, or at least it did for me. So here's something that's been helping me. It's not a framework, it's just a little shift. So pick one feeling you want more of this year. For example, calm, strength, love, joy, connection. 2, pick one tiny action that supports that feeling. So 10 minutes every other day, once a week, the smallest version possible. And then 3, make it so easy you can do it on your worst day. No unrealistic expectations, no drastic transformations required. And here's the thing, not all goals have to feel like work or self-improvement. You know why resolutions feel so suffocating? It's because they're almost always about fixing something. It's exhausting. It's like we're treating ourselves like broken machines that need constant repair. But growth doesn't always come from discipline and restriction. Sometimes the most profound changes come from curiosity, from play, from connection. What if I hosted a dinner party once a month with people I love? What if I spent the year finding the best burger place in my city, or finding the best matcha in my city, or surprising a different friend with flowers each month? You're probably thinking that's not a real goal. But here's the thing, those choices still shape your life. They still build habits. They still change how your day feels. The difference, they do it without the weight of pressure. When goals are rooted in genuine enjoyment, they don't need motivation. You show up because you want to, not because you're terrified of failing some arbitrary standard. So maybe the question isn't, what do I need to fix? Maybe it's, what would make my life feel fuller, more alive, more mine? And that kind of intention sticks, not because it's disciplined, but because it's authentically you. So here's what I want you to do, not as a resolution, but as an experiment. But before you go to bed tonight, ask yourself, what's one thing I've been putting off until January that I could do for 5 minutes right now? Not tomorrow, not Monday, but right now. Then do it, no pressure, no tracking, and see what happens. Maybe it's texting that one friend. Maybe it's reading one page. Maybe it's just sitting outside for 2 minutes. You don't need a new year, you just need a new Tuesday. So if New Year's resolutions genuinely work for you, that's great. Keep doing what works. But if you're tired of the pressure, the guilt, the feeling that you're always behind, you're allowed to start on a random Tuesday. You're allowed to grow quietly. You're allowed to make progress without announcing it. You're allowed to change your mind halfway through. This year, I'm not chasing a new version of myself. I'm learning to be kinder to the one I already am. And if you needed permission to do the same, this is it. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're exactly where you need to be. Thanks for being here. And if this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts below. I'll see you in the next one.